The 27th of April 2021, Paradox have just released their new EU4 expansion Leviathan, with many EU4 players flocking to buy it.
Hey bro, have you checked out the DLC?
No, I haven't. Let me check right now.
So, as you just saw, the expansion of Leviathan, although was initially seen as an exciting new patch, with new features such as monuments and tons of new flavour, is added to the region of Southeast Asia and North America. Leviathan instead became the worst reviewed product on Steam. The question is, how did Leviathan become so unpopular, and where did it all go wrong? In this video you'll find that out. But first, 70% of you who watch our videos aren't subscribed, so if you're new here and like this sort of content, please consider clicking the button. So the obvious answer as to why Leviathan flopped is the fact that the game had a large amount of bugs and glitches. Now usually in any sort of game update, you expect some bugs, as we saw with EU4's last update, the Emperor expansion, with Austria being able to revoke the Privilegia far too quickly. Yet the Emperor patch on the whole was received relatively well in comparison. The difference here, however, is that in contrast to Emperor, Leviathan is perhaps the most unfinished EU4 patch released. The bugs on release literally made the game unplayable. One example of this was the Magic per hit paywall, where you are stuck in a disaster for eternity if you don't possess the DLC. Aesthetically, mission trees also didn't have photos in their icons, and new countries were given generic national ideas. Some say that this indicated a lack of depth in the update. EU4 players' save files also corrupted, leading to many campaigns being lost. This in particular created outrage, as players who didn't immediately decide to revert back to the expansion 1.30 had their optimism rewarded by losing hours of playtime as a bug corrupted these save files. Leif actually made a video outlining all 5 minutes worth of bugs and glitches in Leviathan, which you can check out next. All of this led to a decrease in active players, as opposed to the Emperor DLC, which saw an increase in players. Given the fact that many people had paid $20 for this DLC, which is enough to buy a decent game on Steam, some people felt they weren't valued by Paradox. Even with the hotfixes, Leviathan has still led to a large number of game crashes and problems with the game itself. You can therefore see why people have been frustrated that they have been given an unfinished product that ultimately doesn't meet customer demand for the price they have to pay. But is this the only reason for Leviathan becoming the most negatively rated product on Steam? I personally think there is another reason for the backlash. In recent years, Paradox have released games and DLCs that have not met customer expectations. One example is Imperator Rome. On release, the game experienced a high amount of negative reviews. This game also suffered from bugs and glitches. This begs the question, can Paradox continue to stay afloat and retain their loyal player base on this pattern of releases? This almost anticipation of it being a bad product could be said to be a large factor in the incredibly negative reception of a DLC. A comparison could be drawn between Leviathan locking the Magic per hit disaster resolution behind a paywall, and the ability to develop your provinces being a feature only granted by the Common Sense DLC at the time. The difference in these cases is that Paradox had built up some goodwill that could be exchanged for leniency with regards to the Common Sense DLC. In the case of Leviathan, poorly received releases meant that no goodwill could be called upon to negate this and ensure patience. As such, there was an anticipation that this would be a poorly made DLC, and so, any negative aspect of this was immediately exposed, whereas in a previous time, this may have been highlighted with the expectation that fixes would be on the way soon. So all in all, the release of the DLC has certainly had an impact on Paradox. In the days after the release, players on Reddit were making their stance known, showing their intense dissatisfaction. Will this event have a permanent impact for Paradox in the years to come? Or will this event be forgotten and the player base will move on? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and check out some of my other videos on Leviathan.